He's had a couple of like pseudo series on his own. There was District X, which was written by Cal Higgins. He was a cop in Mutant Town.
Okay, I
He
was
was a
gonna
private.
say
He was a
he was a
private
cop.
investigator.
A
He was a
cop.
private investigator in Mutant Town.
Sound like a
But it
police to me.
so honestly, he was like protecting the mutants of Mutant Town from the cops. He was like working with the cops to help the mutants.
Okay, it's giving cop.
Oh, but so that's something I always like.
Working with the cops.
Yes,
Helpful.
because there were no mutant authorities in Mutant Town, so they were being
And
like.
so he wanted to be that.
It wasn't that he wanted to be authority; he wanted to make sure that they were getting what they deserved in terms of health. Oh, that was loud. I don't know if you heard that. You heard
I
it?
did hear that.
Oh my
Oh.
god! Wow, I was not expecting that to be that loud. I didn't know what that was.
Oh,
Hello.
man. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another relaunch. My name is LZ.
Hey everybody, it's me. I'm Keenan.
What's going on, Keenan? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good. It's been a beautiful weekend. I had a really nice week. Um, you know, it's the last. This is the last week. This is the last week of summer, right?
I am so bad with like those types of like end dates of seasons and all that. I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe.
I think this is like the last official weekend of summer. So it's been great. Going out with the bang. How about you? How are you, my friend?
I mean, that's cool. I feel like I had a pretty like successful summer then. You know, things were kind of starting to open up out here, and I experienced a
Mhm.
little bit, but like now I'm getting into like my zone now, which is like chilling, you know, and like just staying in and like just kicking it. So
That's always fun. I mean, the summer did get really hot for like a short period of time. So I
yeah,
remember saying, I kind of wish this would end now. But I think we got back to a good spot by the end of it. So
that's
cool.
right.
I've been outside and now. Let's sit down. Let's save some money.
Heavy on that. For real. All right, well, let's get started with these comics. And up first is Seven Secrets number 12. And this is by Tom Taylor. And I'm not sure who the artist is on this, but quick question. Is this a miniseries or is this like an ongoing?
It's an ongoing.
Okay, great. Okay.
Oh man.
I need to
This
jump
is
in because I'll ever see great things about
I
this.
was legit about to say like no, I think you really need to jump in kind of quick because this is a good book. And again, I think I said it last time. I was like, I know this is a good book because I'm starting to remember all the characters' names. But
Mhm.
this kind of gives you the backstory of like the character. And finally, we found out who the traitor was, the guy Kanto, and we found out that he was in a relationship with well, apparently he was in a relationship with the Seeker, Amon, who is like trying to kill everybody. And so we get like their backstory. And so apparently, Amon was the son of Tajana, who was the head holder, I mean, the head keeper, and this other guy. So they were going to kick them out of the order, but they were just like, you can stay in the order if you give up your son completely and like don't say anything else about him because it's forbidden. You're not supposed to be together. And then like you have to switch your roles. You can't be together. So he's in the order. He kind of figures out during his childhood who his parents are, but he never says anything. He meets Kanto. They like start falling in love as teenagers as they're competing to be the next holder. Kanto's face starts to get burned off,
Oh,
and but because of like the training, Amon can't do anything, so he's just completely still. He passes. He ends up getting the role, but however, he's going to be the holder to his mom, who he's not supposed to be around. And so the dad is like, he can't be your holder. If you do this, I'm going to tell everybody because the dad's a punk. And she's like, you're right. So they give it to Kanto. Amon's like, this whole place is BS. He was like, I have given my life to do all this stuff and like giving you my blind faith and like at the end of it all, you snatched it away and you betrayed me, and like my friend gets his face burned off, or this guy hell I love gets his face burned off, and you all don't even care. So he leaves, but he tells the boyfriend, he's like, stay here, stay in it. I'll come back for you. Obviously, boom, he becomes a traitor after that. I'm kind of on their side now. I won't lie to you. And then on the other end of it, you have like the main group with Casper and his mom and them. They are trying to find out where the secrets are located, so they like storm his face. The art on this book is phenomenal. Like there's this big shootout scene in it, and I like sat up while I was reading it because I was like, this is really intense. Like she shoots somebody in the head, and that's like it shows. And you know, sometimes we've said that Tom Taylor can be a little after school special with his books. No, he's like the people are dying. Okay. They get their brains blown out, but they end up setting a bomb to this building. They're stuck in the building as it starts to blow up, and then Casper starts running towards the building. He's our main character, the black guy, the black boy of the series, and he starts flying.
Oh.
It's just like, yeah, like out of nowhere, he like starts flying, and it's just like, whoa. But it's crazy because there was a conversation between his mom and the queen right before, and she was asking him, she's like, what is Casper? So there's this whole mystery about him. He flies up, he's able to grab them all and carry them. He has a narration box that's like he's frightened, he's scared, he's mad. People have been lying to him, he'll know what's going on. And then it says, it doesn't matter though, because in a week I'll be dead. And the issue ends.
Okay. This sounds like such a fun mystery.
It's so good, and the way it's unwritten. And so, you know, I had a theory a couple of issues back. I didn't say it out loud because I didn't want to sound stupid, but like something was telling me, I was like, I feel like Casper is dead. And he's like telling the story from beyond the grave. Or I was like, this is someone else telling. I was like, someone is dead. I was like, whoever's telling the story is dead. I just didn't think it was going to be. Well, I thought it was going to be him. I just didn't want to say it in case it wasn't. But now that it is, wow. It's a really good book. Definitely give it like a strong 4 out of 5. You gotta get into it. That's
all I've ever heard have been great things about this book, and I really need to get into it. Definitely on my catch-up list. Up next is Superman and the Authority #3. Now, I did read this, and I know that I've spent quite some time, damn near my whole life, honestly, hating on Superman because I'm not a Superman fan. But this right here is good.
I'm with you. I'm right there with you. We all know I'm very recently converted to Superman. And I don't even know if I actually like Superman. I just think I'm enjoying like the Superman line.
Like his world, yeah.
Yeah, his world. It's really exciting and different, and it's just like cool. And this was a hot issue. I've also never been too much into Enchantress, but she was given here.
You know, I was going to ask if you were into this Enchantress in this, because so as we left off in the last issue, they were going to go kind of rescue Enchantress, and we get a little bit of her back history. And now we'll find out that she has been like living in her own personal hell, basically, and like the June Moon alter ego and the Enchantress alter ego have been split according to her, but really they're supposed to be the same person. And her powers have kind of created her this like, I don't know, spaced out magic. Y'all know magic. It's like a magic thing.
It's hot. It's hot. She's living in her own personal hell, but it's because she
herself.
Because she saw herself as separate, and it's like, no, you just gotta understand, baby, you are Enchantress, and Enchantress is you.
Yeah.
And once she does that,
she gets this new. It's kind of a hot outfit. I'm not gonna lie. It's cute.
It needed a heel.
She did need a boot. Yeah. You know I love a boot.
It needed a heeled boot. It was hot. But yeah.
Yeah, so they come. She joins the team, and they're all around King Arthur's table. Manchester Black asking Enchantress the right questions of, since you got magic powers, why didn't you just snap your fingers and like?
As soon as I saw that, I was like reading. I was like, oh, he's gonna have something to say about this page. But like she said, her spells don't last that long. I don't know what you want her to do.
An excuse.
And like she said, she don't make the rules. She just do it.
So later during this, we are finding out that I believe that I was under the impression that it was the brain before, but this is actually Mijor Mala's brain, right? Or like the Ultra Humanite?
Yes, that's what
that was his brain, right?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, so Ultra Humanite now at this point is just a brain. and he can kind of control, or like I'm assuming telepathically, or like some kind of like technology. He can like control these drones of robots, of like monkey robot things, and he is going to basically be setting up an attack to take down Superman because he knows that Superman's powers have been like depleted. They're not the same anymore. And we get this really cool shot of Superman and the rest of the Authority kind of walking through the door and getting ready to go out on this mission. I thought it was really cool. Apollo looking great.
Yeah.
And then, have you ever heard of this character, Light Ray? Light Ray is who they're going on this mission to kind of also recruit in this. She's the last member of this team. And it turns out that like her mom found out that her husband was like cheating on her. And she, during delivery, she told him that, I found out that you were cheating on me. And he's like, can you forgive me? Our daughter's going to have powers. Like, we can like make this, we could become rich off of this. And she says, no, it doesn't matter because like this kid ain't even yours anyway.
I don't think I heard of her. So I felt like maybe I did, but then once I actually saw her on page, I was like, maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. So I was like, maybe I'm just thinking of Dr. Light.
Could be. Yeah, so I've never really heard of her, but I thought the way that the shot of like Apollo coming into that room and then like lighting up the room with his powers before he ended up getting tackled by I don't even know who that lady is, by this like defense system, who they told them that the defense system was going to be tough. I thought it was going to be like, I don't know, a robot or like lasers or something. I didn't know it was going to be like some hulking.
Get the real stuff over here.
Yeah,
Fight Superman.
Real. That's fair. I guess I should have thought it was going to be something a little bit stronger than a robot. Yeah, but overall, I thought this issue was really great. Again, I'm enjoying this a lot. A 4 out of 5 for me. The art's fantastic. Really great story.
Yeah, no, I'm really loving it. A thing that I especially love about this series is the team dynamic. Everybody knows, like some of my favorite comic book runs have a very heavy emphasis on the team and like their interactions, and you kind of see everybody interacting with everybody. I think of the Australian Outback X-Men era. I talk about it all the time. Perez and Wolfman's Teen Titans run.
Yes.
You just like, and that's what this book gives.
By the way, I've been reading more of that, and I have to say, like I've been catching up on more of that. Yeah. Judas Contract, top 5, comic book.
Say it.
I was gonna say it. Wow. Like I had experienced it so many times in so many different types of like things before, with the Teen Titans animated series, and like I think they animated a movie for it, and other things that like probably mimicked it before. But wow, did it get
that original? It
made me feel for Tara, but in a different kind of way that like, I don't know what you do with characters like that who like were created specifically for these events, but they just got cool powers. So you want them to be around.
She was a nasty little girl.
Yeah. And I also finished reading the Terror of Trigon, and I will say that is better in like animated form, I think, for me than like reading it.
That's one of those things you gotta kind of have that like animated to get that extra punch, because it's got like that horror vibe to it.
Yeah.
Good stuff. But yeah, so this run has a lot of similarities to that for me. Like I think about, again, you see when they're at the round table talking, you have like Manchester Black talking to Enchantress, but then you see her kind of flirting with Apollo, but then Midnighter says something to her about that, and then later on you see Natasha talking to Superman, and she's like, I see that you're not really telling us everything. Big Blue, but I trust you, and my uncle trusts you, and then so it's like I'm really loving the dynamics of that, and again, knowing that even after this miniseries is done, this team is still going to be appearing through the Superman line. What a win!
Yeah, I think I may have to hop back into some more of the Superman books because his corner has been so interesting. I love that cosmic stuff, and this has been all that. Except where you're not like just staying in space and you're dealing with like these kind of conceptual things where you're just bopping around through the cosmos and figuring stuff out. That's what I like.
Hey, it's given.
Yeah. All right. Up next is this is Black Widow number 11, and this is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Rafael de la Torre. And I mean, I haven't really had a bad issue of Black Widow yet for me. How are you feeling about this?
No. So I enjoyed the issue. I will say that it was probably my least favorite so far. I've kind of realized I'm starting to get a little tired of Natasha and Yelena's dynamic. They do a lot of bantering, a lot of back and forth, but it's always kind of the same thing. It's like, oh, Natasha says something, Yelena says something sarcastic in return. Natasha kind of ignores it. Yelena's like, you're hiding something from me. And then they just keep like kind of going around in circles there. And so it's just kind of like, okay.
So that was this entire issue. So don't even have to talk about that.
It was the entire issue. And it's like, okay, again, like I get it. It's a long form story. We're going to probably kind of keep going in for a while in this type of situation. But when are either one of them going to kind of give in or like accept, like Yelena needs to accept that Natasha does need a little bit of space. She just went through something like super traumatizing where she had a son and a husband and then she lost them. But also Natasha does need to understand that if she's going to call Yelena her partner, then she needs to have some type of honesty with her. Like come up to her. You don't have to tell her, yeah, I'm about to go looking for the kid and my husband, but just be like, there's something I'm trying to process right now. I can't talk about it yet, but just know I'm doing something on the side. I'll come to you when I can. And like, let's get this going.
Let's move it on. Yeah, from there. Yeah, so that's kind of what ends up happening in this issue. Basically, is they do a lot of that, and Black Widow is checking up on her kid and her family, even though she's kind of not supposed to be. It's just keeping that a secret from Natasha, and they're looking for some Apogee stuff.
Yeah, and so it's just like, again, it's good, but I am starting to feel like the wear of their interactions. I think what would kind of put a little bit more energy into it is if they had the other girls like Anya and the one who they're training now, if they had them kind of like interact with them more in it, or be like, hey, you two need to stop fighting all the time.
Yeah, and just involve them in their conversations a little bit more and kind of make it more of a unit. Kind of, I mean, we were just talking about in Superman and the Authority where you were talking about the team building is what really excites you for stuff. And this has a team, but they aren't all like kind of interacting with each other because Natasha has really kind of basically looked at Spider-Girl and this new girl Lucy as like the kind of new interns. So she doesn't really interact with them that much. They're just kind of there to train.
And it's like, and it's a weird dynamic because we read it as them being interns of some sort or something like that, but the characters themselves read it as like, oh yeah, we're all really excited and like we're working together and we're doing all this stuff, and it's just like it feels like a bit of a disconnect, and I can't tell if that's intentional or not.
Yeah, I did think it was cool that they go off and go into get some more information on Apogee, and they fight these twins who can kind of share their mass.
That was a cool power. I thought
that was a really cool power. That was a different way to kind of use that kind of mass manipulation kind of stuff and the timing and stuff. I also thought it was really cool that they are really nailing down this whole Yelena and a knife thing. And, you know, when she pulled out that knife and got to fighting, I thought that was really cool. But yeah, I think this issue for me was a little bit weaker than the previous issues, but I still pretty much have been enjoying all of it. So yeah, I'm giving it like a 3.5 out of 5.
I can agree with that. 3.5 for sure.
Yeah. I would like to see more Spider-Girl, but that's because I do like her.
Yeah, she feels a little bit like a blip.
Yeah, I knew of her. Okay, up next is Eternals Thanos Rises, and this was written by Kieran Gillen with art by Dustin Weaver, and I have been loving the world building that's been going on with the Eternals right now. Yes. You know, I feel like for a while you had been saying, I don't know if I'm an Eternals fan or if I've just been like enjoying the writing. I think I'm an Eternals fan. I think I'm ready to cross over.
Okay.
I'm ready to say that, like, I think the Eternals are all pretty cool. Like, I like the whole, like, mythos of them. I like the whole, like, intergalactic, I like the whole, like, galactic aspect of them and their powers and everything. And with this issue, we really get the whole backstory of basically like what has been their whole like ordeal since they've been Eternals, since they can live forever. What has been like the thing that they have been trying to do, and how did Thanos kind of become an Eternal if Eternals don't, and he has parents, whereas Eternals live forever and they can't reproduce. So this issue is all about like finding out about Thanos' parents, which are Mentor and I always can never really pronounce her name. I think it's Sweetie.
I think so.
I don't never really know how to pronounce his mom's name. But this gives you their entire backstory and how a Mentor was originally, he was like an Eternal that lived forever, and he wanted to reproduce naturally to create a true Eternal, even though they could not. They could reproduce with other biological life forms, but they could create a superpowered person, but they weren't like a quote unquote true Eternal. Which, do you think that was like the like X gene kind of thing, and that's where they're gonna probably put that into the MCU, because they would say that when we recreate, or when we procreate with other biological life forms, we create people with powers, but they're not a true Eternal because they can't become a part of the machine.
And then that's how we get the mutants, and I could see that. I don't know if I like that, but I could see
I don't know
that.
if I like it either, but when I saw that thrown in there, I was like, this is giving MCU.
everything does feel very intentional.
Yeah.
The X-Books, at least.
We'll see. That we will see. But yeah, I liked the backstory with all this stuff. I love the world building and everything. I liked that, he had a fight with the other Eternal who wants everything to kind of stay the way that it is, and Eternals can kind of just keep living forever. And it's not that you can't have your own children, and you can procreate and do whatever you want to do, but as far as creating true Eternals, you couldn't do that. But Mentor was then exiled from the Eternal's life because he was given access to go off and go figure that out if he can. And that's where he met another Eternal who was, I believe she was also like exiled. Yeah. And she became like his like wife in a way. They were given the quantum bands, which I thought was really cool because I've become a really big fan of Quasar lately. So it was cool to see kind of like how they were kind of like brought in as far as the Eternals, because they kind of have a connection to like the Eternals and like that whole cosmic side of stuff. So it was really cool to see those brought in. Yeah, I've just been I wasn't really the biggest fan of the art in this, I will say. I'm not the biggest fan. Yeah, I'm the biggest fan of Dustin Weaver art.
I love his art, honestly. Him and Luke Ross, I don't know if you have ever seen, he did some stuff on Captain America and Mighty Avengers, but like I think they're so underrated. I really love a lot of their stuff. I'm shocked you don't like Dustin. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah.
All right. That's cool. What would you rate this?
I would give this honestly a 3.5 out of 5. I really enjoyed the way that they kind of told the way that Thanos' parents got together and how they were basically, they did give birth to the first quote unquote true Eternal, because that is Thanos, but he had the deviant gene. So, and the dad ended up being taken to prison and him having to live in that prison forever. And it was a prison of darkness. And for every person that Thanos killed, a new light would shine. And the whole room ended up becoming completely lit up. And it burned his eyes out. And
That's traumatizing.
It's very traumatizing. He obviously was awoken again, and placed through the machine because Eternals live forever. But he realized that Eternals should never procreate together and make.
The Eternals are kind of mean. They're kind of mean, honestly. Like that prison's a little extravagant and a little bit too much. It wasn't necessary.
What's the difference between this prison and the pit?
Oh, I didn't say there was one. What do you mean?
Okay. I guess everybody mean.
Mm. Hey. When you have it. That was
Yeah.
exciting.
All right. So, I mean, those were the books of the week. Did you have any kind of like mentions you wanted to drop?
I read a couple of other things. The Mighty Valkyries miniseries ended. I honestly can't really tell you what the point of it was, but the three little black girls that Carnella stole and made goddesses, they're still
Mhm.
around at the end of it.
Oh,
And
great.
I know, so that's nice. And Loki makes a comment that he tied himself to them, and he's like, they're going to need to be trained when they get older. So we might see that.
What are they gonna
Um,
become like three like witches, like evil
of
witches
the
or
little
something?
three little black Asgardian girls, right? Like it's gonna
I
be
think that's dope.
right. And
I'd love to
then
see them as like villains. That'd be good.
that was a hot thing. They deserve the world. The last Annihilation Wakanda came out. I picked that up as well. Everybody knows I don't really dig T'Challa that much, but I like to try out everybody's faves every now and again, see what it's hitting for. And it has some of the intergalactic Wakanda stuff, which I think is kind of interesting. Or at least Daniel
Mhm.
Acuna made it look really good when he was. I'm shocked you never got into that.
I wanted to because I actually thought a lot of that stuff looked great. I've seen a lot of panels because again I wanted to get into it, and Daniel Acuna's art looks great on it. You know, I
Yeah.
love the intergalactic stuff.
Yeah,
It was
I feel like
just
that's something that you would
Black
enjoy.
Panther.
And so I feel like, and that's my thing. I feel like T'Challa is one of those characters that you enjoy. You like that type of kind of like snarky asshole. You like
He don't do
Namor.
nothing. Black Panther is like no. Not it
I
for
don't
me.
know.
Boring.
I don't know. Black Panther's not the
I
type of
like the
character.
things around him. Like Okoye is cool. Um, and like the Midnight Angels are kind of cool. But you know, I like the people with he not gonna fly. Where the power's at?
He might fly.
His suit
He might make like vibranium wings in his panther suit.
flying cat.
Like I don't know. I don't know. The intergalactic stuff looks hot. So I read this issue. Storm showed up in it. Manifold showed it. Him and Shuri are like dating apparently. Vibraxis was in it. That was nice.
Oh, I like
I
Vibraxis.
like Vibraxis and that. So it was like a nice look. It was a really nice story. I think if you're into Black Panther or if you're someone who interested, you should definitely pick that up. Um, yeah, I think that was really all I got. Hold on, let me do another little check. Oh, there was a Justice League Dark backup as
Oh,
well.
okay. They
That
still
was
putting it back there in their backup.
it's
Damn.
still back there in that book, but it was really good. It's Ramby. He wrote Aquaman. It was hot.
Oh,
I was like,
damn.
that's cool. So I had to pick it up. But yeah, that was it. That was my week. Nice. It was a nice little comics week.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I had a great little pull list on mine too. So, all right. Those are the comics of the week. Let's take a break and we'll come right back.
And you know what's crazy? I was going back and doing a lot of reading, and I was getting mad. But we'll talk about that anyways. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another panel. And the character of this week, it is our discussion on the late. Well, he's not late. The great.
Well,
Because I was gonna say the late great, but I was like, oh, he's not dead. he might.
I
He
mean,
might.
he kind of like.
He might as well be. It's Bishop of the X-Men.
Yes.
Don't do that to Bishop.
The style was kind of late sometimes. He was rocking that Jerry curl for a little
That
too
Jerry
long.
curl, that was like that was hot. That was hot. Iconic. You can't get past the Jerry curl. That's it. So and I mean it was his time. So Bishop was created in 1991 by John Byrne and Will Portaccio.
Okay.
And for those who don't know, they actually originally intended for Bishop to be a Filipino character.
I
Um,
didn't know that.
yeah, he was going to be Filipino, but I don't know. I guess it just didn't stick, so he became the black guy, and then later on he became Aboriginal, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, that part is kind of weird. I kind of ignore
I,
it.
so I would like to, but the Bishop fans are like really stuck on keeping that in there. But I think again, it's because they want Bishop to have some type of connection to the presence. For everyone who doesn't know, Bishop is from the future. All right, he came to the past chasing a villain by the name of Trevor Fitzroy, who had escaped to our time, and in doing so, he meets the X-Men, and he's like completely enthralled by these people because they are the heroes of his time. Like he knows about the X-Men, he's idolized them since he was a kid. He's like, wow, I can't believe these are the people who I worship because they kind of suck. and but like all in all, after he like meets them, he helps them, he kind of comes off really aggressive and abrasive to the team. He's like, I like lead these people, I know what to do, I'm from the future, I know all these things, I know somebody betrays you. He thinks it's Bishop, I mean not Bishop, he thinks it's Gambit. And the professor just like becomes also enthralled with him, and so he invites him to join the X team. And it's actually a really funny issue where after Bishop has like been fighting with everybody, he's talking to Xavier, and then he comes out and he's like, I want you guys to welcome him to the team. And everybody's like, what? And but he ends up joining, and he becomes really close with a lot of members. He has lots of really touching moments with Storm, Jean, Scott, Jubilee, Xavier himself. He ends up forming kind of like this love-hate relationship with Gambit. Again, he thinks that Gambit is the X-Man who's going to betray everybody, and so he's like very cautious of him. And I've been doing a lot of reading for Bishop lately, and it made me so upset about where he is right now because they really used to treat him like a character with motivation and goals and like just like this genuine love. I was reading the story where after he's kind of been inducted into the team, he's helping them on one of their first missions, and he's chasing Fitzroy, and they start like destroying the town, and so he's about to kill him, and Storm stops him, and he's like, this is what we would have done here and there. And Storm is like, no, this isn't your time, you need to look around. She's like, the X-Men are protectors, we're supposed to help people, the only person who's destroyed anything is you. And she's like, look at what this is and find humanity. And he has like this really poignant moment. He's just like, oh my gosh, you're right. He even goes back to Storm at the end of the issue, and he's like, I'm here to learn from you all. He's like, again, you guys are the people who have done this and who made it possible for me to be here. So teach me. And that starts like just a really nice character arc for him. He's had a couple of like pseudo series on his own. There was District X, which was written by Cal Higgins. He was a cop in Mutant Town.
Okay, I was going to say.
He was a private investigator. He was a private investigator in Mutant Town.
Sound like a police to me.
But it was really good. He was like, so honestly, he was like protecting the mutants of Mutant Town from the cops. He was like working with the cops to help the mutants.
Okay, it's giving cop.
But so I that's something I always
working with the cops.
Yes, because there were no mutant authorities in Mutant Town, so they were being.
And so he wanted to be that.
It wasn't that he wanted to be authority. He wanted to make sure that they were getting what they deserved in terms of help.
Getting what they deserve.
In terms of help and being treated fairly. It was great. He was investigating murders. It was a really interesting series. If you're a fan of Law and Order, you should definitely pick up District X. But even in Bishop's like time, he was a part of the XSC, which was the Xavier Security Enforcers crew.
Also cops.
They were peacekeepers.
What cops?
And some of them came to the present with him for a little bit of time. Most of them, I think, died. I wonder if they'll come back. No, I don't think any of those characters have backups to come back on Krakoa. He has a sister, Shard, who also will probably never return because technically when she was in our time, she was the hologram version, right?
Yeah, she was that like AI at that time.
Yeah, so she would never get a backup either, which is kind of sad because she had a hot design.
She does. Her blonde hair.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the reasons why they keep kind of like adding all these family members to Bishop's time. It's because it's like he doesn't have anything else kind of holding him here, and so it's like, well, what are you gonna do, and what's gonna be that thing that gets him there? And so.
Now, are you someone that needs to have Bishop become like a descendant of someone? Do you know what I mean? Like where you can kind of see him come back and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm seeing this is my great grandfather or whatever. Or would you rather see him just be like a random character who just
I would rather
came back in time and idolized the X-Men?
I would rather it be random, and I only say that because I feel like once they try and connect him to characters, like they start aging those characters a little bit much, and then you also kind of get to the part of like you're waiting for him to come around. I remember like early on they tried to say that he had some type of connection with Monet. Like there was a I can't remember if it was Uncanny X
Oh, I
Men or
did not know
Generation.
that.
It was either Uncanny X Men or Generation X, and he has like some blackout moment, and Monet's trying to help him out of it, and he calls her mother.
Oh.
Um, yeah, and it was like, ew. They had another series that he had after that horrible, after they made him go rogue in Messiah Complex. He had like a Life and Times of Lucas Bishop storyline that tried to say why he was going after Hope because she was supposed to be like this great big thing that kills a bunch of people. Um,
This is why I don't
there,
like time travel.
exactly. There, they tried to make it seem like Storm was maybe like a grandmother, mother
Right.
type of entity. Obviously, again, they've made Gateway his great grandfather, which would make Manifold his cousin in some form or fashion. But again, it's just like we don't need that.
You don't gotta make all the black people related.
But it's just like you know, he just doesn't need it. Because it's like again you're just kind of like now you're just waiting and you're getting this whole story of like oh when is this stuff going to happen if you just would have had like you know maybe Bishop could like look up his great grandparents and they're just two random people and then you're
Hmm.
just like oh okay like that'll be whenever like he knows
Have
these
we
are
ever gotten to the point of seeing his younger self?
in that like Life and Times story but
Okay.
the art was very abstract
Oh, okay.
so
Mm. Mm.
um
I was like, that's not for me.
yeah.
So, like, as far as his younger self, though, will we ever like? Do you think the X-Men will ever get to the point of like seeing the young Lucas Bishop existing in the timeline, or does his timeline no longer like
So technically his
exist because of
timeline shouldn't
zombies?
exist.
Okay.
Technically his timeline should no longer exist. However, I also don't think we would ever see a young Lucas Bishop because the whole thing is that he's supposed to be a child like long after the X-Men are gone. Like
Okay.
that's part of the reason he idolizes them and looks up to them so much, which is like why it's always weird that they try and make Storm like a grandmother or Monet his mom because it's like, well, they'd still be around.
Right.
he would
Yeah.
like he would like Child Bishop would know who the X-Men are.
Mhm.
Um like Gambit as the witness was the character who was the witness in timeline who was supposed to be the last person to see the X-Men who he thought was Gambit. He was supposed to be like in his 80s or 90s.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just and that's when Bishop was like a teenager. So it's like he
Yeah, that
wouldn't.
doesn't. You don't need all of that. Yeah. Yeah, I've always wondered if we would ever kind of get that, or if we would just kind of like move him forward. He needs something, in my opinion. I love his powers. Love his powers. I think
Iconic.
his power set is really cool. I did not like the way that they were used in that one Astonishing X-Men run. The one that Betsy was leading that team, and when
She's
he
been
was
alive.
like dropping
Oh, when he
down,
was falling out of the building, and like he was using the force of the fall to create energy, but he was also like changing the energy.
yeah, into a different type of energy,
Yeah,
and
that was something new.
yeah, I really like that. I prefer for him to just be able to absorb all types of energy and like, redirect it with his concussive blast and stuff like
Which is
that.
hot. And
Yeah.
you know, one of the things I've realized about Bishop too, especially post Messiah Complex, is that they do not let him use his powers anymore. As I was going back and reading some of these other runs, like this man is always charged up and shooting his blast at something. He's had a lot of really good, shockingly enough, the era that was kind of good for Bishop was like Lobdell
Hmm.
and the Onslaught saga, especially, was like a really good time for him because it was a really good arc for him. Again, Bishop comes to the past, which is our present, and he sees the X-Men. Throughout his entire time in the X-Men, one of the people he's been closest with was Professor Xavier, because again, he knows someone's
Right.
going to betray the X-Men. He wants to protect him, and he has a lot of friction with Angel because Angel feels like Xavier looks at Bishop as a way to change the future, and he feels like it's making him do things that he like wouldn't normally do. But Bishop is like, well, if I inspire him, I think that's great. um, and so when Onslaught happens, and you have the reveal was supposed to be that Xavier was actually the one who betrayed the X-Men. You have this fallout of Bishop dealing with that, and he takes it very hard. He starts kind of like separating from the team a little bit. He feels like he's failed his mission. He feels like he's failed Xavier. There's so many things. Valerie Cooper comes to pick him up, and Bishop is one of the people like, no, we're going to take care of him. We're going to make sure everything is okay. And it's just like great, which is like, again, Messiah complex. Having Bishop betray the X-Men after his entire story has been protecting them. That's all he's ever wanted to do.
Mm-hmm. That
And
was some
so
character assassination right there.
the biggest, and I will never, and ever since then, you can tell that a lot of writers don't really know what to do with him or where to go with him from there. And it's like we go back to like the cop thing. I think I will say about that astonishing run, it wasn't the greatest for a lot of people, but I did like the mandate that Bishop kind of created was that he was investigating cataclysmic events in the timeline. So he had like this little watch that was like, this is going to end the world. And so he was like investigating those to go and stop them. Like Time Cop. Perfect.
Okay, I can get with that.
It's perfect.
Better Time Cop.
I was really excited when he was made a captain in Marauders. That did not go the way I wanted it to. But
it did not. I remember signing up for Marauders for Iceman and Bishop. And I did not get any of that.
It was not. It just, and I mean, Inferno's coming, and he's on the teasers, which again, I think I've said before, is kind of frustrating. Because once again, they're pegging him as like in the can they be trusted, like potential traitors, and it's just like, A, he's already had that storyline, and then B, he hasn't even done enough.
I think he was just up there for the promo. I don't think that he's going to be any kind of traitor. It looks like they're going to be inducting him into the council, although that's probably also about to end. So,
first of all, don't use my boy's name for slander, okay? Don't be trying to get a hot topic and drag his name through the mud for what? You already got that old lady assassin up there. That's enough.
Well, they needed her and the cop.
Then B should have been up there. But that's going on. But like you said, the Quiet Council thing looks exciting. It does look like he's being inducted. But again, the theory is that at the end of Inferno, the Quiet Council won't exist anymore. So if they set him up again just to lose it, what's the point?
Yeah.
They do my boy wrong.
I think he also needs to lose the gun. I would like to see him use his powers more often, but I feel like he has been stuck in the cool guy motif, you know, and that he was really caught up in the 90s with being the cool one. And the big muscles.
He was there with like Wolverine, Gambit, Cyclops. Yeah. Like they would. I think a big thing about Bishop also is that you can tell he's good because he is one of the few characters that Chris Claremont did not create but still continues to use.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, he didn't create him. That's fair. Yeah, he didn't create him. Yeah.
He did not create Bishop, but like he has written a lot of Bishop. Extreme X-Men has some really good Bishop stuff. Those two issues that Grant, well, however long when they shot Emma Frost and Grant Morrison's X-Men.
Yes.
That was a good Bishop arc right there. I highly recommend that for people. He had a miniseries. He had 2 miniseries.
During Civil War, right? Didn't he go and join?
Oh, I wasn't talking about those, no.
Isn't that like, he played a pretty big role in that event.
No, he was just on like.
He joined Iron Man's side and like he got picked up from the mansion and joined in a limo. He even like Iron Man was about to leave and he stopped him and was like, "Wait, before you." He literally stopped him in his tracks.
I don't think he stopped him. He was because he was opposing Scott because I remember he shot Scott up, which is also like the thing. Cyclops and Bishop are the same character. All right. Like
I don't know. Cyclops started a revolution, and Bishop joined Iron Man.
I mean, but what was Cyclops doing before that revolution?
Leading the kids, and then the X-Men.
Yeah, and what did the X-Men do? Put mutants in prison.
Well, what was Bishop the cop? Putting them in prison?
Bishop rescued.
Oh.
What do you say? Have you never did you not read that one Marauders issue where he did something?
Oh yeah, actually, that was so bad. Because wasn't there like a hands up, don't shoot kind of moment in that?
I think that was one of the other issues. Oh, that scene was bad though. Oh my gosh, dude, there was, you know, Marauders got some issues, and I feel like I said that a while ago, and people attacked me. But it's like I'm not crazy, right? Marauders got some issues.
Mm-hmm. It's always been just kind of there, but people like Emma and Shadowcat.
People like Shadowcat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people love
Okay,
her.
that's true. People do like Shadowcat. She's the girl of the '80s.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she still is wearing the same costume from the 80s.
No. She's got the captain look now, the Buccaneer.
Oh
Which
yeah,
I don't think that's gonna last though.
I don't really like.
It needs a little something like extra to really like take it over. It feels very
Remember Britney Spears' circus video?
yeah. Is that what it reminds you of?
That's what it's giving, yes.
And now that I think about it, Kate and Bishop's relationship in that book is kind of weird. I don't think they've ever really been that close.
No, but it's almost as if they kind of are.
Yeah. Like I'm sitting here trying to think of like some books where I've seen them interact, and I can't think of too much. But like she'd be all up on him.
Now, as a Bishop fan, how did you feel about, speaking of all up on, how did you feel about Bishop and Jean?
Oh, I didn't like that. But again,
why
like
not? Didn't you just say Bishop is basically
I was say Bishop is Cyclops, and that's why they did it. But no, I don't. He deserves better. Bishop's best relationship is with Deathbird.
Deathbird, really?
Yeah. Oh, it's hot. And so the thing about Deathbird is like Deathbird wanted Bishop. When I was going through some of those old issues in the '90s, like she was all up on his. When they were out in Shi'ar space, she walked into his room, and she was like, "What's up?" And like I forgot what happened, who they were fighting, but somehow Bishop got separated from the X-Men, and it was just him and Deathbird, and he got hurt. And so she like took him and was nursing him back to health, and she's like, "You are the perfect man. You have the perfect body. You look good." She's like, "We're going to mate and create a baby," and like it was like she was ready. She was hot.
I know that's right. I mean, well, Bishop. The one thing I will say, I do give him a lot of flack for him being a cop and all of that, because
the man is hot.
Yes, but the man is hot. And
the man is hot.
I do enjoy his powers, and I do think that he deserves to have like more to do. He just gets caught up in the time travel thing, unfortunately. I would say his is probably a little less convoluted than Rachel Summers, because at least he can kind of get away with just being his own character and just like a fresh character, whereas Rachel, like, technically at some point should start to exist, right? Yeah. Like she should start to exist, but he can kind of be his own thing.
Jean hates Rachel.
She does.
Doesn't even make sense.
She does.
But no, I think
I always wondered if Jean hated Rachel because Rachel represents like a forced future that like, oh, I don't have any kind of control of this future, whereas Cable represents a mistake or something bad that happened to her that she has to like.
There was some issue, and I don't know if it was like Cable, X-Men. I know I've seen.
Not that Cable was a mistake, you know what I mean? But like the situation that happened to her, so she feels like she needs to take care of this thing.
Yeah, there was like some page that I've seen posted around online where it kind of had Jean, and she was like lashing out at a baby version of Rachel and Cable, and like in it, she said, she was like, you know, Nathan, you're not even my real son. She was like, you're the son of like Scott and my clone. And then with Rachel, it's like, you're someone who I haven't met, but you're like forcing me to say that you are definitely going to be here, or like trying to control the narrative of my life. I'm going to try and find out what issue it was. But like, it rings very vividly in my mind because that was the first time someone ever showed it to me and was like, yeah, Jean doesn't even like Rachel. Like, here's the proof.
Yeah. See, I feel like characters like that end up getting caught up in time travel shenanigans, and no one ever really wants to touch that because if you do, other things end up becoming like unraveled. So
Mm-hmm.
I think I would love to see him kind of just moved away from that. He needs to just be out on the field doing something.
Agreed. Agreed, 100%. That's what he needs.
Helping,
And
not being a
that's what,
cop.
and
Like
that's what
just
he just the most recent Marauders issue, because I saw some ex Twitter posted some panels online. They went to like Araco and he was like investigating the death of the sheriff. So it was like,
yeah,
there's plenty of things for him to do.
that's great. I would like to see him be maybe more of a investigator.
It's hot. And shout out to Omar Sy for being Bishop in the X-Men movies. You know, the X-Men movies are not good, but he looked good
They are
as Bishop.
not. He did.
Mhm. That's
Again, I wish they would have let him use his powers instead of that damn gun.
God. And so my thing with the gun is like, if they like tried to use it more creatively, like showing that, oh yeah, he's like using his own redirected energy in it or something like that, or maybe like let it do different blasts, I could be a little bit more here for it. But now it's just no, they're just guns, and it don't make sense. He
No.
blasts.
I
Show him
think
blasting.
they just want him because it looks cool with him a gun. Personally, I think it's better with him blasting.
He's not Cable. He doesn't need the gun.
No. And I'm also over their beef. I don't think they need to like butt heads anymore.
It's so weird because I feel like writers have been trying to handle the whole situation with like Bishop, Hope, Cable like so many times, and it just never goes the way it should go. Honestly, that is why. Oh
Uh-oh.
no, I'll stick with that. I just had a thought, and I was like, maybe I'll do something else, but no. Anyways, I feel like Bishop is a captain, and like all of the captains seem to kind of have their own things that they looked after. Magic was over there with the younger kids. Gorgon was like being Persian bodyguard. Scott is Scott. Bishop was just kind of around. I really think that a great kind of full circle moment would have been for him to be the captain who specifically protected the five.
Yeah, I thought that would have been dope.
Like it
That's
kind of
cool.
like it comes him and Hope are like getting together and absolving each other, whatever. Because again, they tried to do it before in Humphrey's Uncanny X-Men run. He tried to have them have a moment. It was just kind of weird. Like she stabbed him. He was basically telling her, he was like, "Oh, I don't regret trying to kill you." He was like, "I don't regret it." He was just like, "Look at you now." He's like, "You're tough." It was like Humphreys tried to make it like My Two Dads situation, and it just did not work out that well. And then writers after that have always just kind of like still put blame on Bishop for it. He said things like, "Oh, did the X-Men still forgive him?" I remember during Uncanny X-Men Disassembled, Armor said something to him about Hope, and I don't like her either. So that's the whole. But
Luke might have a character panel on her or something.
yeah, and so as a result of that, Cable always is kind of just like the outlier of it, because obviously if Bishop isn't getting along with Hope, or Hope still feels some type of way, of course Cable is too. But Cable can die. So
Yeah, he's another one that like with time travel and stuff, he just kind of like hops around and does whatever. I don't want them to do the same thing with Bishop, where he's just kind of popping around through time and doing all that kind of stuff. While you have the idea of him going around and stopping those like cataclysmic events, I would be cool if they were still like within the same like timeline. I don't want him like popping up through time and stuff like Cable does. That's kind of his thing.
I can see that. He wasn't really like popping through time when he did it. He was more so like actually hunting down the folks from the alternate realities and stuff who were like coming to cause the events. He was like looking for Sugar Man from the Age of Apocalypse. And shout out to the Age of Apocalypse with Bishop. That was kind of his event.
Yeah, it was.
It was kind of, that was kind of his event. And I don't think we give that. We need to wake that up fully.
It was kind of his event. I'm not the biggest fan of that event, but it was kind of his.
That was kind of his moment. Wow, I think I'm gonna reread that.
Mm.
That's next
Maybe
up
we
on.
should we should add that to the reread list then because I haven't read that one in a while. Maybe my
Okay.
feelings about it would change
I'm
now that I'm
and how
older.
do you not? It was Bishop of the then, and it introduced Jesse Bedlam to the world. Top tier.
Mm.
I'm adding to the list. Top tier. But that was that. I just want to talk a little bit about Bishop. Again, Inferno's coming up. I'm kind of cautiously optimistic
Yeah.
about the things that are going to happen with him. We know that there is a revamp of the line coming after the lives and deaths of Wolverine. So cross your fingers that we get something good.
Let's get some good stuff from Bishop.
All right, let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back.
Let's do it.
Hello, hello, we are back with
Yes,
another
we are
review.
back.
Everyone's favorite part of the show.
Yes, yes. Do you want to go first or want me to go first?
I'll go first because mine is very simple. Mine is very easy, and mine is very short. The character I
Okay.
relaunched today is Lucas Bishop,
Okay, tell us what you got because the Lord knows he needs it.
and I would like for Lucas Bishop to be leading the X-Men team, the one that is picked at the Hellfire Gala. It should be his role. Again, if he cannot guard the five, I think it's another full circle moment for Bishop. Again, he came to our time really idolizing this group. They made him a traitor. He's back. Now he here is again leading, doing what he wanted to do from the beginning, that he said, I'm going to take a step back so you can teach me how to do, and like showing that, yeah, he's taken everything, he's redeemed for his sins. Again, Krakoa is supposed to be the new age of forgiving all past grievances and like letting people know that they're back in a good spot. What better way to do that than have him leading the new superhero team that leads their island and represents them?
Actually, that would be a really dope spot for him as like the leader of the field ops X-Men
Mm-hmm.
team out there being superheroes. That would be really, really dope. Can he leave his gun at home?
He can leave
And
the gun at home.
okay.
He can leave the gun at home. I actually prefer him to leave the gun at home. Get a nice new, although he's gotten a lot of good outfits. One thing about Bishop is he's got some good looks.
Now the
All
looks do
right,
kill. Okay,
the looks be
yeah.
hot. The looks are
Yes.
hot. But yeah, that's my relaunch. Bishop leading the X-Men. It's time. He deserves. Cross your fingers for good things.
Okay, let's hope out for some great things for him. Okay, so then my relaunch is we're going up into space, and it's going to
That's
be
shocking.
Nova, but Eve back in as Nova. And if anyone
Oh,
remembers, yes, yes, yes,
yeah,
back
yeah.
during the Secret Wars era, during the whole Battle World thing, there was a new Nova Corps family that they debuted. Eve Backen was a Nova Corps member, and she ended up like giving her family members the other helmets for them to become members of the Nova Corps. They were hot, and it was a really well done series. Actually, everyone, I
That's.
recommend it to everyone.
I was about to say that Secret Wars Infinity Gauntlet miniseries that they had that introduced the Nova family. That should definitely be a reread.
Yes, oh for
For
sure, we
sure.
should
Add
add
that to
that to
the
the list.
add that to the list.
Yes,
Uh,
and she was really dope. I had always been really looking for that kind of like black girl, kick-ass space, with the energy powers, and
mm,
she is it. So I would love to have her come back. The Nova
she is
Corps,
it.
I don't really think they have a book out right now. I think the
I think
only
they all
Nova
got
that's
wiped out.
around, yeah, they all got killed. I think the only two are Richard and Guardian 2. Oof. And yeah, I don't like him. And the other little boy that's in
Sam
chains,
Alexander.
Sam. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Eve showed up when Dugan was writing Guardians, and like some of that Infinity Countdown stuff that was going on. She popped up there. She was pregnant. She had on like this red suit. I remember
Okay.
she gave birth. So like the Nova family has kind of started and it exists. So it would be dope to see her come back for sure. She was hot. That
She was
miniseries was
hot.
given.
Yes. So yeah, that's my relaunch. Let's wake it up and bring Eve back to the Nova Corps. and have her come up in space.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, so that brings us to the end of the show. Make sure you rate and subscribe us. Please, thank you so much for everyone who's been leaving us comments everywhere. We really appreciate all the support. Y'all are dope. You can catch us on Twitter at Another Relaunch, on Instagram at Another Relaunch. You can watch the show on YouTube at Another Relaunch TV. You can send us questions, comments, and all that stuff at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can find me on most social media platforms on Keenan LZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Keenan Lance. You know there's an underscore at the end.
All right, y'all. Let's get up out of here, and then we will talk to y'all next week.
Peace.